In 1590, Japan's prolonged civil war finally drew to a close with the conclusion of the Odawara campaign. However, the vision of the supreme ruler, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, extended far beyond the Japanese archipelago. He began to shape a grand, almost delusional blueprint for the invasion of the Asian continent. In 1591, a forward base of unprecedented scale was constructed in Hizen Nagoya, at the northern tip of Kyushu. Mobilization orders were issued to daimyo across the country, assembling a massive army of 150,000 soldiers looking toward the sea. In April 1592, the vanguard led by Konishi Yukinaga and Kato Kiyomasa landed at Busanpo, marking the beginning of the Imjin War. While the Japanese forces initially captured Hanyang with irresistible momentum, the war soon dragged into a quagmire of attrition. The fierce resistance of righteous armies and the Joseon Navy, led by Yi Sun-sin, seized control of the seas, successfully severing Japanese supply lines. Amid the flames of this war, Tokugawa Ieyasu made the most anomalous move. Hideyoshi kept him stationed at Hizen Nagoya Castle to guard the rear of the expeditionary forces, meaning Ieyasu's core army never set foot on Joseon soil. While the Western daimyo were being weakened by depleting their vast fortunes and military forces, Ieyasu's blue banners were quietly gathering strength in the lands of Kanto. As the war ground into a stalemate and peace negotiations with the Ming dynasty collapsed, internal strife within the Toyotomi regime reached its peak. The deep emotional rift between the military faction Mudenpa and the civilian faction Bunchipa, coupled with conflicts over succession, shook the once impenetrable solidarity of the Toyotomi clan to its core. Hideyoshi's dreams, once adorned in gold, were slowly freezing over in the bitter winter winds of Joseon. In August 1508, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who had defined an entire era, brought his turbulent life to an end. Until his final moments, he worried deeply for his young son, Hideyori, and forced the 5 elders Gotairo, including Tokugawa Ieyasu, to swear an oath of allegiance. Ieyasu bowed his head, but a blueprint for a new era was already taking shape in his mind. Following Hideyoshi's death, Ieyasu began openly violating the fundamental laws of the regime. Flouting the decree that banned private marriages between daimyo, he established a network of alliances by marrying into the families of powerful daimyo, including Date Masamune. This was the opening prelude to an inevitable head-on collision with Ishida Mitsunari, who remained fiercely loyal to the Toyotomi clan. The regime fractured into two groups: the civilian faction, composed of administrative bureaucrats, and the military faction, made up of generals who had roamed the battlefields. The critical catalyst that pushed the animosity between these two factions past the point of no return was the Imjin War. Ishida Mitsunari, the leader of the civilian faction, served as a military inspector Gunkan, evaluating the performance and conduct of the frontline generals and reporting back to Hideyoshi. To the military faction generals who were shedding blood on the battlefield, Mitsunari, who sat safely in the rear keeping ledgers and judging them, was a thorn in their side. In particular, because Mitsunari strictly reported generals who retreated or showed passivity during battle, fierce commanders like Kato Kiyomasa and Fukushima Masanori suffered the humiliation of being reprimanded by Hideyoshi or having their fiefs reduced. Once Hideyoshi died and his powerful restraint was gone, the friction between the two groups escalated into physical violence. 7 generals of the military faction, including Kato and Fukushima, led their retainers to completely surround Mitsunari's residence in an attempt to eliminate him. Having caught wind of the plot beforehand, Mitsunari disguised himself, barely managed to escape to Osaka Castle, and later made the unprecedented choice to seek refuge at Tokugawa Ieyasu's residence in Fushimi. Mitsunari was no fool. He knew that the only person capable of restraining the 7 military generals who wanted him dead was Ieyasu, the top-ranking figure at the time. Ieyasu spared Mitsunari's life, but forced him to retire from politics. A masterstroke of political strategy designed to win the support of the military faction while isolating the civilian faction. This conflict ultimately served as the decisive factor that split the nation into the Eastern Army and the Western Army at the Battle of Sekigahara. Despite being lifelong retainers of the Toyotomi clan, the military faction generals fought on Tokugawa's side purely out of their hatred for Mitsunari. Consequently, the Toyotomi regime triggered its own downfall through internal collapse.